Hi, everyone. We are Cassidy and Jackie, the faces behind Kindness Across Ability. We are Abilities. We're a nonprofit geared towards serving the autism community, bridging the gap, creating inclusivity for all. Yes, so we're here with another one of our videos.
And this video, we are going to focus on some sensory information, just kind of going over the different sensory aspects of a person.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the typical 5, but do you know the other 3?
Question, there's 8? Since when?
Yeah.
There's not 6 senses, there's 8. Good people's not one of them.
Don't worry, I was like, wait. Like, it's not like it.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
It's okay.
So
if you don't know, that's okay. That's why we're here today to talk to you about it. So let's cover the first 5. I want to do those because I'm familiar with those.
But end with touch, because that one's
okay. Love it. We're going to start with sight. Duh. Use your eyes. You perceive the world. Different. What's interesting about sensory, why we're bringing this up, is because everybody has a different threshold for inputting stimuli. So it's cool knowing that what you see is different than what I see. And there's really no way to tell. People have talked about that theory. You see, we all call this red, but is your red my purple? So just being aware that we all have different abilities of sight. There's sound. Some people have a better perception of sound. Some people are more fortunate and can't hear as well. Sometimes I wish I could hear.
Oh, just because of my laugh. Oh my God.
Of course, there is taste and smell, and then there's touch.
And touch is the dual sword because you are touching something, but also the physical act is touching.
Mm-hmm.
But how does your brain perceive that touch? Is your hand or whatever, your body that's touching something, is it communicating correctly? Do you feel smooth or do you feel rough when it is actually smooth or rough? Do you feel hot, heat? Do you feel cold? And is that accurate to what you're actually feeling? Because your skin is going to burn if it's hot, whether you feel it or not.
Yeah.
The physical reaction is unfortunately the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to know if they don't have that neurological pathway that's communicating accurately. And there's lots of things you can do. One of my favorite is the body check. And you can do this with your little ones and just teach them, even after time playing or after times cooking or after, a period of time where they might be exposed to heat or, sorry, we have a new dog and she just got scared. She's going to be at our events.
Mm-hmm.
So come out and see her.
Yeah.
She's very sweet.
She's unbelievably cute. Her body is just so stout. She's so cute. I don't know how to say it.
She's basically me and Dawson. She's short and thick, and she likes bread.
Well, it's okay.
And if it's not something she likes to eat, she's not going to dig it. So
she's like a Boston Terrier pit bull situation. It's adorable.
Yeah, it's her build is a pit bull, but she looks like a Boston Terrier.
Mm-hmm. And she kind of acts like a lab.
Yeah, she identifies very differently.
Yeah.
But okay. And doing body checks and just being aware, hey, am I burned? Did I get burned? Am I bleeding? Did I get hurt on the playground that I'm not recognizing? Things like that.
Yes.
And then, so those are your first 5. And then the other 3, we can get into. You want to start?
Sure. Okay, so to start with, we'll go with the vestibular system, which is located inside of your ears, and it has to do with balance and gravitational influences, the way you move and feel grounded to the earth. Yeah. So from my knowledge, when you see anyone trying, so how we mentioned, every sense can be elevated or suppressed. That might look like someone, if it's suppressed, maybe an individual is like seeking more of that. So if they were seeking something vestibularly, you might see them spinning.
Mhm.
Yeah. We actually just started a new kid at the clinic, and it's just so cute. She's very like ballet, like she's just always spinning and never falling over. Like it's really
So
impressive.
coordinated, yes.
But
Or those swings that go circular, or even back and forth, really, the like falling motion, they like a lot.
right. But let's say it was an elevated sensory sense. That's a little redundant. They might be like they might avoid heights. They may feel like unstable and like they don't even want to venture up. Maybe a little like looking a little bit
Unsure.
yeah, and like not like maybe appearing clumsy, but it isn't. It's just like a whole sensory situation. It's not that they don't have maybe the ability.
Maybe like something equivalent to like feeling vertigo like all the time. Like that would be frustrating. Annoying.
Yeah.
So that's vestibular, and then we have proprioceptive. And that's like knowing where you are in space, which sounds really weird, but like most of us can sit here, and even if my eyes are closed, I can tell like these are my hands. I can extend my fingers touching, and I know where it ends and where it starts. I know how to do that movement, even if my eyes are closed. I see my phone on the table. I can reach and grab it without keeping eye contact with my phone. I understand how far it is and how much effort I need to do in order to grab that phone. Those are things that might be very challenging for friends who don't have that strong proprioceptive, or maybe they have a very strong proprioceptive and they like bang against walls. They're feeling that extension of where their body is. Could you imagine like not knowing where your body is? And so it's pretty cool like to think about like, oh, if I don't know where my body extends, if I push it up against the wall, then I can use my touch sense to understand where that distinguishing feeling is.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that continuously comes up because we did our first training at the public library, and it was just like such a great experience. But we gave each individual like different sensory limitations. So for one of the volunteers, she was not allowed to speak, which I know is like she had no vocal communication, and she had to be very creative, right? So like for your reference of proprioceptive, the proprioceptive sense, they might not feel where their body is, but now they're having to be creative and using like a three-dimensional object to sort of help them create that boundary that maybe they didn't have before. I always get super pleased with the level of creativity. I mean, of course, we want to like
genius.
Yeah. Like we feel the need to increase accommodation so they don't have to overextend themselves all the time. But it is truly incredible the lengths that all humans go to just adapt and constantly tested.
And the last one would be interoceptive. And this one is a little, some people accept it, some people don't. I don't know how you wouldn't accept it because it's definitely affects like who you are and how you feel and how you interpret the world. It's basically just how your body is functioning, like biologically. This may not be as obvious as observing someone. It maybe needs to go through like a medical diagnosis of like even allergies, sensitivities to certain types of food, digestive issues, sensory for, this is another like interoceptive one that crosses with like touch. If you cannot feel, this is the example I used, like you're constipated and you're having trouble going to the bathroom, but you also don't have that touch feeling. So you don't feel when it's coming out, when you're pooping, things like that.
How hard do you need to push?
How hard you need to push,
Yeah.
that you actually need to push.
Mhm.
Like if you can't feel pushing, then what is it? It's kind of like when you go into labor.
Yeah.
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 And they're like,
You
push.
better
And I'm like, I thought I was. Like, is that not pushing?
yeah.
What am
You
I
had an
doing?
epidural? Is that what you're relating it to? Having the epidural?
Yeah, I had the epidural, but like my knees were up in the air.
Yeah.
And like screaming push. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Or
Yeah.
even true to that point too, the epidural. So I had the epidural, and then I had to have a spinal tap because the epidural only numbed to my thigh. And they were like, well, you got like a minute, and if she doesn't numb, like we're taking the baby anyway. So I was like strapped to this table, gonna get cut open. And luckily they did numb more, but they like overcompensated, like, oh my God, she's gonna get cut open and be able to feel everything.
Yeah.
So I was so numb, I couldn't feel breathing.
What?
So I thought
That's
in
too
my
intense.
head, I was like, I'm freaking out. Like,
Was this first baby?
yes, that was no Maverick. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're new to motherhood. This is the first moment of it.
Oh yeah.
And you're terrified, and now you're
Yeah.
feeling
It was a pretty rough experience. I got
Okay.
yelled at when I got the epidural because I'm like having a contraction. And if you don't know, here's some education. I don't know
Coming
how
at
many
you.
young people are watching this, but
Watch out.
I'm gonna keep it safe. So the epidural is a needle that goes into your back, right? And when you have a contraction, it's very painful, right? And you don't always want to stay still, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
In that pain.
Uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. It's like clenching, you're
Yeah.
tight. And so this person is telling you, relax and stay still. And I'm like, this is not a moment I can relax and stay still.
Yeah.
So I asked, I said, can we wait until this contraction passes? Because it's like it comes and it goes, right? And she said, no. And I said, okay, I'm just gonna hang in there.
And don't even get me started on nurses in the room. I know they're doing their best, but sometimes it's like, yeah, you remember who you're talking to.
This is a human,
Yeah.
a person, not just like, oh, here's another one going through the gate. Like, even if it was an animal, like, why do we not
Yeah.
have more empathy? I don't know.
Mhm. I felt a little rushed along too, like, okay, you're just a number. We need your bed. Get your bed out.
Or like, I had called to the nurse. I decided I wasn't gonna do the epidural until my water broke, and then I was like, this made me change my mind, you know. So I had called to the nurse, and I was like, hey, my water broke. I want my epidural now, and they're like, she thinks her water broke, and I was like, how do you think your water broke? Maybe you don't know until it happens, but once it happens, you're very aware that it has happened. You know, it's like allergies. You're like, I'm not sure if I'm going to catch it. But when their face literally blows up like 3 times the size, it's very obvious.
Yeah. Like, how do they explain away a water breaking? Like, did you just spill your beverage? It's fine.
Yeah, I just sneezed and I thought that was it.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. It's much more. It's not how the movies make it. Not just tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're in for a treat.
Yes. If you have children. Would you like to see the new puppy? Let's see if I can get it.
You get that little honky tonky up here.
Oh, here, let's see if I can lift you up. This is her.
She's happy to be here. Say hello.
This is Sienna.
Sienna.
Hang
It's around my hair.
She was eating.
We she like gave me a lick. My dog is like very inappropriately affectionate, so I'm used to this.
If you've seen Deadpool, you know exactly how her dog is. Have you seen it?
Wait, you know how I'm with movies.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen them, but I don't remember them.
It's the new one though.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'll put her down because she's not listening. But she participated.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Appreciate it.
She's
She
like,
back like,
how dare you?
how
Do that
could you-
again.
how could you use me like
I'm
that?
a grown
mother?
woman.
Grown woman.
Yes.
Um,
So try, going back to the conversation.
Yeah, what were you talking about?
I think that we really just wanted to make this podcast to sort of shed light and a new perspective that if you are aware that you truly don't understand the internal functionings of another's body or the input of any senses, like in sensation and everything like that, because you just don't know. Like, okay, we're in the room here. There's a light fixture, a couple light bulbs here. It right until you look into it.
Okay,
Okay,
there's one missing. That would really bother someone.
that's true.
And I would never notice because I would never look up at the light, but they probably can just tell like the
Yeah.
distribution of light is like inconsistent.
Yeah.
Therefore, a light bulb must be out.
Right. Something as simple as a light bulb being out, or just light bulbs in general being too bright for some people's sight sense.
And maybe the humming of the light, you know, how it has
Mhm.
that sound.
Back to another sense.
Yeah.
So imagine if an individual is sensitive to sight and sound, and now they're potentially frustrated. Let's say they're supposed to be listening and engaging. Like if she's sitting here and it's too bright, it's too loud, and I'm talking and laughing kind of loud, and I'm like, ha ha ha. Right? And
That's me.
sorry.
I would say if I ever hit you, I'm sorry.
I am a copycat though, and I start to pick up your traits. But then she's trying to listen to my words, but now she's becoming frustrated because of all of the increased elevated senses that she's picking up. And maybe she snaps and has a bit of a meltdown or needs to take a break and is frustrated. And it's so quickly we can just write people off of like, oh, they're grouchy or cranky, what a brat.
Yeah.
But it's just, it can always be way more than we see.
And understanding that there is that sensitivity, but also actually experiencing something, like start looking into the light, start blaring some music, start having someone talk at you over the phone, and see how quickly you get frustrated. Yes. I know my poor husband, I don't think we would, well, I think he had all those extreme sensitivities because I get pretty spicy anyway. So.
Just constantly spicy all the time.
But I'm a good cook, so he puts up. Yeah, pretty much it. If you have any questions, you would like more information, anything like that, just email us, let us know. Give us a call.
If you have, I was going to say young children, but really any individual that you want like activities to sort of like help them regulate these irregularities in their sensations, like we have some ideas and some fun activities. I mean, it can be something as small as like crawling on the floor like a bear to kind of give you some proprioceptive input, and it can be a grounding, or like heavy work with proprioception is sometimes utilized. So yeah,
you'll just have to go either way and kind of see what they like and don't like. Typically, like if they're wanting input and you're squeezing, if they like flinch or pull back, that's kind of an indication. Like, hey, I didn't like that. Don't do that again. But if you feel them like relax, then that's probably an indication that they did like it.
It is just trial and error. Once I worked with a client who would be like, we had circle time and sitting was just very challenging. I mean, but he had this one spinning chair that he liked, and I was just kind of being a little detective with it. I sat him down, I would spin him 3 times, and I've never seen that kid sit longer in a circle time. I mean, it was just truly really fun, just to kind of engage and play with things.
Yeah, and you can do that easy in the classroom too. Put them on one of your swivel chairs and spin them, and then hang out there. And when you have a minute and you're just talking to the class, spin them some more. So there's always that. I'm just trying to think of, and then everyone filters things out differently. So it's one thing to have this, I'm either sensitive or I don't have this feeling as much, or I'm not receiving it the same way, but also how do I regulate that myself? Like for me, I know when I'm trying to focus, it drives everyone else crazy, because I'm like, let's put on music. Let's like do a book or something while I'm focusing on something else. Yeah, it's like I almost need an extreme amount of input in order for me to stay focused. Where for someone else, might be like, can you please turn off the music?
We were like 3 hours. Yeah, you have to change your behavior.
I know, I gotta change my behaviors.
3 hours into like a working session until I was finally like, you know what? The music is actually not helping me. I didn't accomplish anything.
It took her 3 hours to tell me that. We should change it. So
yeah,
make sure you set those boundaries a lot sooner.
It was good music.
It's good music. And then she's like singing to it, or I'm just like hearing it.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and I think I even might sing to it and still stay focused. I don't think it bothers me. I don't
stay the level that she can balance.
I'm like, Every
But
sentence is like,
perfect example of self-advocacy and like these are the needs I have and this is what I need to do.
yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to say it.
Okay, so for me, there's like this squishy putty that like I think it's maybe a proprioceptive thing too.
Hmm.
Definitely tactile, but like the hard that's I kind of that feels nice.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe that's just like stress relief too.
Yeah, and not the Play-Doh. The Play-Doh like
Yeah.
pulls apart and it's not as nice. But the silly putty, like the really
Yeah.
hard stuff. And they even have ones that you'll see on the silly putty that it's like medium or like strong, and they'll have different strengths and it'll be like a different density and even be harder to pull.
Mhm.
And that works great if you have like someone who struggles with like fine motor, gross motor skills, things like that. It has that same, the fine motor, you can like pick things out of it.
Yeah.
And then the gross motor is like squeezing, pulling, getting some muscle tone, getting some practice there too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, you would be surprised what a difference it would make just to have these things in access for someone that does need to like regulate a little bit more throughout the day. Just like dim the lights, have a little tactile input, and whatever they need. You
yeah,
always,
have a variety of items ready and send them one.
I feel like Instagram, Pinterest, like there's so many things
So many
that
options.
have so many fun ideas too. So.
Yeah, you can create ones if you don't want to buy things.
Beans.
And if they throw it, it's probably not their item and just try something else.
Yep. Stay observant.
Yeah.
We can do this together.
But yeah, thank you for being here and watching us. And see you next time.
And check out our videos for our upcoming events.
Yay!